This is Gene Krebs.
Hi there. Oh. Whoop. Whoosh.
And we're high on Ohio.
I started volunteering at Children's Hospital. We just moved here. We'd only been here about a year. And I started volunteering at Children's Hospital for the burn unit.
Okay.
Doing fundraisers. And at that time, the fire departments of various cities were collecting money, fill a boot, give a hoot, fill a boot campaign. And I asked my city, the city of Upper Arlington, if they would participate. The fire chief at that point said, yes, if you will volunteer to start a fire safety education program. So this was 1980. And there were no fire safety education programs. There was no 911. Kids didn't know about stop, drop, and roll. They didn't know to get down and go under smoke. And so I gathered a couple folks and researched across the country and started a fire safety program for kids preschool through grade 8 with a unique program for each grade, and did that as a volunteer.
Okay.
So, and it was the first one in Ohio. And I think that is how I have felt about all my public service. That I am a volunteer. It is a great privilege to give back to your community. I was involved with local government from the 80s and then through 2012. Okay. So up until the late 90s, local governments were really left on their own. I mean, there really was, you worked within your community, you solved things within your community. You really didn't need a whole lot of, you didn't pay any attention to what was happening at the State House. Then all of a sudden, now local government, one of their most important jobs is to see what's going on at the State House. Because no longer is the state government, or can they afford to not look at what local government is doing. And so now you're really involved in the State House. And that's the greatest danger for local governments and local city council members and local residents who get caught in that, my city's okay, it works for me, I don't need to think about it. Because we no longer can do that. There is not the money to sustain that. And you don't get the best services. You don't get the best opportunities for your residents or for your businesses if you are operating within a bubble. I would start with education.
Okay.
Because I think that the residents don't understand. I don't think the local government elected officials understand or know how to. They may think that it's good up here, but when it comes down to my community, all they see is things they have to let go of, things they're losing, without understanding how to get to a point where they're not only gaining, but they're enriching. And so I think you can't just tell people to do it and tell them it's good. You've got to show them, you've got to explain to them how they can get involved. Because I moved to my community because I liked my community. I don't want a monogamous, a homogeneous community where we all look alike. I chose mine because it was best for my family. If I look at a federal example of the stimulus money, which was, like opening the federal coffers and giving money to local government for almost anything, almost. One of the criteria was you had to be shovel ready, which means you had to have your engineering studies done. Which wealthy communities have their engineering studies done 5 years in advance. Those that are just getting by do it month to month, if they have any money for engineering at all. So the ones that needed the stimulus money the most couldn't get there. If the state could give innovation money to build that civic capacity, and you may need to import it to begin with, but with the whole premise of let's empower these people. And, if I go back to when I went into the clerk of court's office, I had volunteers from the business community, from the universities, from communications companies, to all come in and lend and volunteer to solve the problems. People want good government, and if they can see they make a difference, they will be there. I think it trickles down to local government. Local government used to be community-minded people that wanted to volunteer in their city. And they could make a huge difference there. And it was fairly easy to operate within that environment. Today, when you have to interact with the state so much, and it's more complicated. It's more than they can take on. Or it becomes the political parties who have to keep shoving new people into the state house. They start putting people in local government. So those council members who used to be thinking about the long-term future of the city now think about their term and how they can get to the next place.
For more about the Center for Community Solutions or their publications, please visit www.communitysolutions.com.